welcome everyone to Ponderosa Center Presents. I'm Nicole Musgrove, the Development Director for the Ponderosa Center. Today we are here with Lyle Nelson. He is the St. Luke's Community Health Administrator. He is also one of my very favorite people. I have long said, if you want to have a nice day, involve Lyle Nelson in it. It is 100% guarantee it will be one of the greatest days you ever spent. So, on that note, he's going to give us a presentation today, Living Large, and he is going to be moderated through his conversation and presentation with Dr. Dan Ostmiller, who is a great friend of the Ponderosa Center as well. So I'm going to turn it over to you two to get started, and I hope everyone enjoys. Thanks for joining us.
Well, it's my pleasure and joy to introduce Lyle, and I'm very excited to hear Lyle's talk today. I've seen outlines of it, and it is really a basis for us all to feel better about ourselves and about our community and about relationships. And Lyle has been a friend of mine and a cohort in how to make our community healthy for over 15 years. So Lyle grew up in McCall area, and he learned to ski and ski race in McCall, and went on to become a 4-time Olympian in biathlon. And we can talk more about that at some point. But Lyle eventually also, obviously, he's had an interest in great performance, healthy lifestyle, and how to exceed and have goals, and he's been very good at doing all those things. And he came back to McCall about 2005. And Lyle can correct me if any of this is off, but he came back with the idea of making our community healthier. And I was very interested in the same goal. We wanted to create an integrative medicine clinic and bring ideas and pillars of integrative medicine to our community. Back in 2005, the pillars weren't well defined. And so we had to go out and figure out what we thought would make the community and ourselves healthier. And it was obvious, that nutrition and diet, which we had Susan McCandless give a talk here through Ponderosa Presents on diet. And that was one of the first pillars. The other is exercise. Obviously, exercise is a big part of this. We had Lisa also give a talk on exercise, and that's also on Ponderosa Presents. But really, in exercise, it's whatever brings enjoyment to your life and what you enjoy doing to go out and exercise, and that's what we recommend. The third thing is on sleep, and I gave 3 lectures on sleep early on, and I didn't realize I knew sleep was very important. And I actually named it the foundation, but now I think really Lyle's talk is really the foundation. And the 4th and 5th pillar really is community and having a purpose in life. And Lyle has now put together a talk that pulls those things together. It's called Living Large. And the large is acronym for love, awe, radiance, gratitude, and engagement. And obviously that fills that community relationship and having a purpose, because we realized that we could teach all these healthy aspects to everyone, but if they didn't feel like they had a purpose or greater purpose of bringing health to their families, themselves, and the community, then, it wasn't effective. And with that introduction, I think we're going to go ahead and let Lyle get started, but I do have a few things to say. Lyle went on to become the community specialist in our little community, but then St. Luke's also became involved in our community, and then he went to the entire St. Luke's system and became the administrator for healthy communities in the entire system. The other thing I want to say is Lyle has told me that through Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, our county has been 6 times listed healthiest county in Idaho, and was number 1 or number 2 in the entire United States in the last 10 years or so. And so maybe we've made a difference in this area, in this county, and maybe we're making a difference in Idaho. And we're hoping that with you listening today, that you'll make a difference in your areas as well. So Lyle, I'm going to let you go ahead and start. And thank you for being here. And the community is going to be healthier for it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for that great introduction and the 15 years of working together in helping other people achieve their optimal level of health. I'd also like to thank the Ponderosa Center for the opportunity to do this, because in preparing this, I've reminded myself of really who I want to be in life, or set some new ideas that have really made my life better already. So I'm indebted to all of you for this opportunity, and I'll share my screen. Okay, great. One point I want to make, Dan covered loving, awed, radiant, grateful, engaged, things that are quite simple to bring into our lives in some ways. And also the point I want to make is my email address is at the bottom. And any ideas to make this better, or stories you want to add to it, you can. What I hope are the takeaways for each of you. And I'm going to be pretty brief. And I want to nail a couple points. And they're going to be accentuated, so you go, oh yeah, I can see how to work that into my life. So here's the 5 things I hope we can do. Look at how we can bring more awe. And awe is the splendor that's around us, and bring that into our lives. And then number 2, expand our understanding of love and be more comfortable and skilled expressing it. And you go, well, that's a touchy subject. What is love was the most asked question on Google a couple of years ago. So we say understanding love. We may all have good ideas about it, but everybody has some maybe new ways of looking at that. And then upping our radiance factor. Now, we are all contagious. We're constantly changing everybody's day, way they look at life around us by the energy we emanate. And I want to cover a couple little tips on that I think you won't go through a doorway the same way again. And I'm going to use some exercises and practical things in this presentation. And then ultimately, of course, what I really hope that I can give to you is a greater daily sense of purpose, joy, and understanding of how we contribute to everybody's life around us. And then I really am interested in your thoughts on living large. We have all been around the world a bit, and we can share a story on this. So I'm going to start with awe rather than love, and then move through love and radiance. So what is awe, and how do we experience it? So I'd like you just to relax for a second and look at the first picture on the left. And as you gaze into that, maybe you could feel your face muscles relax a bit. Or maybe you found yourself feeling a little more centered or a little more mesmerized. And then I'd like to recall also the times that you walk out on a full moon night or look at the starscape, and it's hard not to be going, it is so vast. Now, here's a good one. You look at those stars, the closest star to us is 20 trillion miles away other than the sun. And when we get in that kind of environment, we think, wow, my problems aren't so great. And I don't need to be in my ego self. We become much more outward focused. And then other things that we experience awe is these amazing human performances. And I'll give you an example. And this is the Chinese pianist, Long Long. and he is just enraptured with music. And here he is playing the Hungarian Rhapsody. Okay, so when you listen to that and you think of that setting in the outdoors and envision yourself being in the audience, and that sense is about awe. And I'm going to show you what awe does to our life in a moment. But let's take another chance to think about awe. And I'd like you to envision that you are sitting with a friend or by yourself on one of those little rocks in the foreground, and you're just looking out there. I want you to just really now put yourself in that picture. Sit there. Look out. You might want to think about the person sitting next to you. You look all around that. Now, the point I want to make is it's empirically proven that even looking at a picture of nature and the sense that it gives us changes our health for the better. And these moments of awe, and it doesn't have to be that you've walked out and seen something so majestic. We can also experience awe from looking at one flower, one bloom. And if we were to think that we're looking at something for the first time or the last time, how special it would be. And how that produces a mindfulness for us. So there's lots of studies even to say if you put a plant in an office or in your home, that it has an impact on our health. So I mentioned great performances, and now I want to go on and show you one more. So you see that gentleman there on the right-hand side of your screen where it says Dick? This is Dick Bates standing on top of a mountain. And what you didn't notice about Dick, and you probably did notice here, he's standing on one leg and has a bloody knee. And when you think about the picture on the right, that it's 9 miles to get to where he is standing on the left.
Wow.
You know, and sometimes we think of things about all those Olympic athletes. But when you want to do something awesome in your life, sometimes you get to choose something like this. And we all have the opportunity to experience this. Now, what I want to show later about that, and you think of Dick is going up this trail with people, and he's sharing a grand moment in life. And it's been shown when we share such moments that drug or hormone that we see called the love hormone or the cuddle hormone, oxytocin, that when we do something with someone and we get that simultaneous hormone response and resonates with another person, it's permanent. We have a bonding factor. When I speak about love and start thinking about the things we do to improve love and how we can share awe together and what that does for us, a permanent effect. Anyhow, Dick, I just wanted to thank you for the time we spent together. And Ruthie, you should see those two together. And same with Dan and Lisa, of course. And Dan and Lisa are models of creating moments of awe. by sailing or going to places in the world as are Dick and Ruthie. And when I am talking about love, I could turn to those two, and they know so many things about what sustains us. And we speak about that. It's going to be, I think, there we go. Sorry, I couldn't get my slides to change. Anyhow, love will follow this one. So how does awe affect us? So it reduces stress. And of course, we know that the whole inflammatory approach to life is a robber of life. Now, I want to speak about that second and third bullet together around awe. How when we get so absorbed in something, why the brain is in a mode to be extra creative. And we come away with things that resolve problems we've worked on. It fills our life with hope. Now, I have 4 big takeaways in this presentation. Here we are to the first one. And I think this is huge, and I didn't realize this. When we experience awe, we feel connected to the life force or connected to others. But in that, it puts us in this mood of sharing, of altruism. And we think about experiencing awe for our own health. It is also the community connection, the way we relate to each other. And there are some fascinating studies. So they have people do what we did. They get them in a room and they all look at a picture that's all inspiring. And then they announce somebody won $200. And they ask the person, well, what are you going to do with your $200? Well, the people looking at awe goes, well, I'm going to share with everybody here. I might buy everybody's lunch today. The other group was in a traffic jam in their picture, and they were visualizing stuck in traffic. And then it's announced one of them wins $200, and they say, what are you going to do with the money? And they do this study over and over and over. And the person who is not in the awe moment says, well, I might buy something new for my house. But the sense of altruism, we're all in this together, is different. And then last point I want to make about awe, it is has such a tremendous positive effect on us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it's much the same effect as love. And that's the big second takeaway, because I'm going to tie these together, the sense of awe and love. And that is a little bit the segue into my next topic I want to cover, which is love. And here we go. Start off with, love is a many splendored thing and often humorous. So I think we have to find humor in our life and our love. And so that was to set us into the tone of a somewhat sensitive subject. And I have 3 definitions, 3 category definitions of love. And I think this first one is really eye-opening and a way to recognize that love isn't some magnitude of something that happens all at once, or something that is just thrust upon us. And this definition comes from Barbara Erickson's book called Love 2.0. And I'm going to move this slide a little bit there. And so love is a positive resonance, a connection between 2 people that amplifies and wanes according to micro moments. So it's like a plant. You water it, it gets better. It's not always perfect, but going back to that awe, those micro moments are shared positive experiences. And we need to go out of our way with others and spouses, others, children, neighbors, to create shared positive experiences. And we know there are people that we kind of have a special connection to based on biochemistry, meaning they're optimistic, they're vibrant, they're healthy. And then the third component of love is the intention to invest in each other's well-being. Barbara Erickson would say, there is a degree of love with every positive interaction we have with anybody. It isn't just something reserved for for a very few people. To create a world of love and loving ways, I think we should recognize these three things we do. Shared positive experiences. They happen in the workplace. They happen in the neighborhood. They happen on a walk with somebody, and you say, hey, did you notice the Jones lilac bush? And the other person goes, yeah, I was just walking past that. Why does that bloom so early every year? And that's a shared positive experience. And it's your neighbor. You're trying to get them to focus on something positive. You have an intent to invest in their well-being. Biochemistry is a lot of things. Okay, then also love then is a hormone cocktail of all those kinds of things. And it absolutely changes our physiology, changes the structure of our brain, changes the genes that express and turn on and turn off. And Dan knows what all those things are. So when we get done, we have a little extra time. You can ask Dan, what is one of those fancy words? And there's that oxytocin. And when that is a drug that puts people subconsciously tuned, I shouldn't say drug, I'm sorry, a hormone, that is our brains can tell when we line up with someone. And it happens on many little different cues that we're not aware of. And oxytocin, when it raises in our bodies, attunes our brains to the other person we're with. Okay, enough of that. Description of love by science. Here's a description of love by sociology. So it's, you can read, so I'll just cover a couple things. It's evolutionary survival. It's universally accepted as the strongest human emotion. It's actually more powerful than fear, more powerful than anger. What people who can't swim will jump off a bridge to save a baby they don't know that's fallen in. That's love. It's unequaled in its impact on us, and those four traits again. How about this? Has anybody said, I just love living in McCall? I love going to piano concerts. We love our pets. And we resonate with them. You know when they're looking at you, they resonate in a different way. Here's a quote I like. The composer of Bolero, Maurice Ravel, said, the only love affair I ever had was with music. You know, and so we think about even activities and things create that resonance we spoke about earlier. And here's the third big takeaway. Love is a way of life we can all experience. We may not all experience it in the same way, but we can receive all those same benefits. And when we think of love being as this resonance, this connection, this thing that we can radiate everywhere we go, we can all experience it. But there's actions to take to do that. The next one is where many people get their description of love is from the poets. And that leads us into all kinds of what is love. But I'd like you to read, just go ahead and read on your own these two quotes, please. Okay. This is the first one. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin is just writes with fire, amazing author. And the second quote is from the Pulitzer author from South America. But you know, they give you some idea that there is fire in love also, and we shouldn't think about it just scientifically or social in terms of sociology. That's okay if we want our love to have some sense of incredible magnitude, then we can turn to the poets too. Just briefly, this is not my area of expertise to think about. Love is not always a bed of roses. So I think it misses something. Even awe can have a negative consequence when we see something that's devastating. So I'm speaking about bringing positive things. I'm going to speak about how we bring positive love into our life. I just want to acknowledge there is at times when we need help in our love lives. And then going over to Willie. the quote over here on the right-hand side, I thought this is really neat. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, goes on. And then, the bottom part is covered up on my screen. I'm not sure if it is on yours or not, but let me see if I can move these slides. Do you see the bottom part of that quote? If I be proven wrong on this, let me see. Well, I've got all your pictures on the bottom part of that quote. We'll move on. So here's some ideas for exhibiting love. And look, listen, and laugh. And I'm gonna give you a metaphor. And I want you to think, I want this metaphor to stick with you for life. I want you to think of this metaphor all the time, many times. So I don't watch NASCAR, but there's an interesting event in a NASCAR race. And the cars are zipping around and they pull into pit row and they get new tires and that. And they're there for about 16 seconds. And in that time, usually this great big guy comes running out with this huge cylinder over his shoulder, and it has a tube on it. And this guy runs out there, slams it into the back of the car, and in 8 seconds, he fills the gas tank. And the car can run again for several hundred miles. And I would like us to think of the metaphor that people have a love tank inside them, and we can fill it in 8 seconds. And they can run for hours or days on an instant little refill. And I'll give you some examples. How often in the morning we're rushing and we let somebody go out the door we love, and we recognize we haven't really listened, and we haven't looked, and we haven't laughed. And these are things that create that hormone reaction and fill the love tank. And they're near simultaneous or instant. So I want to do something now. Now I want you to envision, and I see all of you. So we'll do this virtually. I want you to envision that you're telling me something, and you don't have to, but it's slightly personal. It's personal, it's a bit sensitive. Now, for the next 8 seconds, I want you to think you're telling me that. And so go ahead and tell me. Okay, now I tried as hard as I could, even though we're on electronics, to be 100% present with you. Now, I want you to see what you feel like. If you go and were to tell me those same 8 seconds. Now, go again and tell me again and watch my reaction. Watch me. You don't get the same feeling. I'm not present. And when you talk, when you drill in with someone and you lock into their eyes and you listen with everything you have, it is an intimate moment. You are saying you are everything to me at this moment. I don't drop many names, but I'm going to tell you a moment. I had to go to the White House. I got to go to the White House for an Olympic moment. And I was with Ronald Reagan for about an hour. And when I first met him, and he came up and they said, "This is Lyle Nelson, the captain of the Olympic team." And he looked at me, and I could tell I was the most important thing in the world to him at that moment. And we look at that person and think that kind of capacity they had to radiate, and we can too. So it's a really good thing when you laugh with someone. Well, I'll give you a good example. What happens when you smile in a room? What happens when you chuckle in a room? Somebody says something, you're the only one that thinks it's funny, and you start chuckling. It's contagious, right? And it goes around. And so that's an example of look, listen, laugh. So I want you to think how you can fill somebody's love tank in 8 seconds. Okay, I'm going to go a little speedy. Other things for exhibiting love is, of course, we talked about awe. And I'm going to do a very quick visualization again. So the amazing book by a neurosurgeon called Into the Magic Shop. It's new and out. He does this one exercise, and I'd like all of us to do it. I'll be brief. So I want you to think about somebody who showered regard and love on you. I want you to think about the person in your life, potentially a parent, potentially a significant other. And I just want you to feel now, feel what it's like that that person, without reservation, constantly showered love on you. Now I want you to take that feeling and think about who in your life you would like to shower in love. And it doesn't have to be someone that we're bound or banded to express love to. It could be someone that needs it. Could be the little neighbor kid. Could be one of your own children. Shower them with love. And he calls that open heart. I just listed 5 love languages, ways to exhibit love: receiving, giving gifts, quality time. And that book, The 5 Love Languages, was on the New York bestseller list. And these are the 5 ways people receive love. And so sometimes we keep doing something and the other person doesn't feel loved. It's not their language. Giving gifts to some people is not a demonstration of love to them. They may need words of service. They might just want quality time. Okay, here's fun. I'm moving on. Radiance, and I'm going to be done in about probably 5 to 7 minutes, and then we can have some discussion. So what is radiance? It's our contagion factor. Wouldn't you like to see that young girl on the bridge? Wouldn't you go, wow, man, she's going place. Go get them, Tiger. And we feel better for being around her. So, you know, our radiance is how we affect every living thing around us, and it's constant and it's contagious. And we should think about, what do we want it to be? So building and sustaining our radiance, because as I'm going to conclude in this, it's one of the ways we change the world. One person, a few people at a time. So this is hard to do. Number one, read twice as many positive stories as negative. Because the truth is, negative catches our attention more. Positive impacts us. So build and enter a positive circle of acquaintances. But another part of that is we attract to us what we are. And so when we become more conscious and do more things to sustain radiance, our circle of radiating friends becomes bigger. So then sex. Sleep, eat, exercise. Dan mentioned that at the beginning. Did you like my acronym? That came to me in figuring this out. Another way to have radiance is to have intention. I mean, there are things that we all need to get done. I was very impressed with Dick Fate, not because he climbed that mountain, but he said, you know, some friends of ours sent some emails I wasn't that impressed with. And I called them on it. And, you know, it is our intention to create understanding in the world, or whatever our intention is. And we have that with us. We have a lot of courage and radiance. I spoke about be present when you're present. And, you know, radiance, you know, people know me, think, yeah, Lyle is just the most bubbly, ever upbeat guy. But, you know, you have to have a better repertoire of radiance than just one thing. Sometimes the radiance is empathy. It's, I believe in you. I'm going to leave you with hope, fill you with joy, provide serenity. But one of the most important things of all is to have regard and admiration for people. It changes their life. People rise to the expectation we have for them. So one thing about radiance is we should, every time we pass a small kid in our life, acknowledge them. Show that we have regard. Same for every teenager. It'll change our future. Okay? Oh, I'm having so much fun. Here's 2 exercises for radiance. Okay, so I want you to do this. Think about this. You come home from work, and in the story, anybody can come home from work. They're extremely tired. They can't wait to tell the people in their family what a horrible day they had. Is that really the interview you want to take to the other side of the door? And so what I would say, a really good thing is catch yourself. When you reach out for a doorknob, ask yourself, what's the energy I want to take to the other side of this room? And we all know people, when they walk in a room, the energy changes, right? You go, wow, something just happened in this room. And I think we've all found times we walk through the door and we want to share we want to vent. And when that isn't the first right emotion, when we really want to say, how are you? May I tell you about my day? That's different. Here's the thing to do. I do this often, and you can do it too. When you walk through the grocery store, you're just walking through the grocery store, push in your grocery cart, stop at the end of the aisle, spin around, and see what your energy wake is. Look around behind you, just turn around and going, do I see a stream of energy? Do the people behind me smile more because I walk down this aisle? Is there anything, we leave a wake everywhere we go. And I'm not going to tell the story about that, but I have a great story about leave a wake in life. And sometimes you just spin around and go, what's my wake? Okay. Now, I intended not to speak about gratitude very much, nor about engage. So I'm right on time. I'm not having to skimp, even though we're out, wasn't connected for a minute. One of my takeaways I wish for you is in your moments of awe, when you slow down and you say, I'm going to purposely wash my system in these hormones that are really good for me and my mind and my soul, that you say to yourself, I'm blessed for this moment. I'm blessed. And when we don't nurture those moments, we miss, and things become less fulfilling to us. Now, what does gratitude do for us? I want to show you something. So when we say, how does awe affect us? We look at this: reduces stress, creativity, engenders altruism, improves the physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. Well, awe and gratitude have the same impact on us. So that's the reason it is important to do blessings. And we have so many times we can do that. And then the last thing I want to say about engaged, and of course you are all very engaged, I know you, and we think about how much we impact others with our radiance or with our intention. And we've probably seen this quote somewhere. When we light fire in other people, it doesn't diminish our own fire. And Dan and Lisa, you'll enjoy this one. It just popped in my mind right now. Okay, everybody, I'll give you an example. I'm thinking about somebody who changed the world. She is 4'8" tall. She is born in India. Who do you think I'm talking about? A 4'8" woman changed the world. And we all know her. One of her quotes is, okay, Dan, you have an idea?
Well, I've heard this from you before, I think. But is it Mother Teresa's mother?
Mother, yeah. We go, oh, that's Mother Teresa. Well, you know what? Mother Teresa's mother lit the candle. And we have no idea, every time we say something to a little child, you sure are a smart young man. Or whatever it is, we have no idea how many candles we're going to light every time we do something like that. And that is to be the change you want to see in the world. Okay. And then here's, if you were to ask me, where did I get this kind of information? Here's 3 books that, and this presentation will be available. So there's 3 books. that might be of interest, value to you. And here's the questions now I'd really like to ask. How do you experience awe? How do you fill someone's love tank in 8 seconds? And what do you do? Will you do? What do you think about from hearing this that you might change in your life, or how you might light another candle? And in case there's no opportunity to do this, I want to thank you for the opportunity to enlarge my own life by being with you. And if you said nothing now, and we've just been together, and you think how this presentation about we were together, we resonated, and even when I was gone, it was probably maybe a moment of higher resonance, and those are special moments. Okay, with that being said, I guess I did most of the talking. I don't know if I should apologize or feel proud for that. And does anybody? Thanks, Joan. Let's go ahead, anybody, and relate to any one of those 3 things, or say anything you want.
I have a question, or a thought anyways. So you touched on build and enter a positive circle of acquaintances. So as we change, mature, grow, we still have acquaintances from the past that are some of them are negative, and that can be overwhelming. I've read a book where you can fire your friends, but then it feels like you're not helping them grow and be positive. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. I think others may have. I'll go first with 2 words. So when we think of radiance, we're a radiator, and we're sending out a type of energy. And then also we can be transformers. And sometimes we need to transform the energy that's coming in. And we have to be very careful, because negativity can overwhelm us. And at times we also can take that negativity and say, I hear what you're saying. However, I feel this way about it, or something of that nature. So I agree with you, though, that casting off friendships is maybe not the right approach. But on the other hand, we need to minimize some of those types of friendships to make room for that new positive force in our life. Did that help, Jerry?
It helps. That's kind of how I'm handling it, but it's still difficult, as we've got some of us have friends for 30, 40 years, and you still want to be there for them, but you can feel that their weight brings you down, and you still want to be positive, but it gets to be such a challenge.
Somebody else want to answer that?
I have one thing to say. I'd like to say one thing about that. And this is really fascinating, because they've done studies on the amount of sleep that we get during the night. And when we short sleep and we don't get as much REM in the morning, it's that REM, or rapid eye movement and dream work in the morning. They did studies of one group who had a full amount of sleep, and they showed pictures just like you showed, Lyle, of nature, that it's fantastic. And they had a huge amount of awe. They showed the same picture to the people that were short sleeping, and they didn't have the same magnitude of awe. And this is an interesting study. So I guess one thing about your friend, maybe you could mention to them that how are they sleeping? How are they exercising? How are they eating? Because that all affects your awe. And maybe they're doing too much caffeine or too much alcohol. Anyway, there are things that you can talk about to change, and then having that radiance of your own positive energy is going to help them, and maybe that's what they need a little bit too. But anyway, just some ideas.
Wow, nice, Dan. Thanks.
I'd also like to say is that a lot of my old friends are living in circumstances where there's a lot of stress in their lives every day. It makes them more negative. And a lot of times I just listen when they talk and try not to absorb it and just let them vent and just try and be as supportive as I can and then go on with my own life. When I was traveling, when I came back to McCall, I felt such a sense of relief and relaxation just being back in McCall again. Not dealing with horrible traffic jams and running through airports and doing other things. It's like you come back here and you can just take a deep breath and relax. But not everybody lives where we live, and not everybody has that daily dose of awe and relaxation. No.
Thanks, Kathy, and thanks for your background picture.
Just a little awe.
Yeah.
That's your backyard, isn't it?
Not quite.
Looks like Kodiak Island.
Yeah, I just took this off the internet because I wanted something to when I'm on Zoom with people.
If there were one thing,
you, Kathy, a sunny day.
Thank you.
I want to reiterate how much I appreciate being with you and the opportunity I had to think this way. And it's really improved my approach to life and my experiences. And if I wasn't working on this, I might have missed seeing Dick and Ruthie. And this reconnected me with Dan and Lisa, though we're always connected, and others. So maybe what we could think of as we move forward, to think about the opportunities we have to show regard and appreciation, admiration for others, regardless of the circumstance they're in or how they've treated us, but just to think about the little tiny touches that ripple and go from person to person. So we can start, and we had the ability to create a chain reaction. That was the benefits of love that I didn't spend much time on. One of the last ones is it's a chain reaction that changes our world, changes our environment. So anyhow, we're links now, folks. We're all on the chain, and we're out there hooking arms with some other people and making a bigger chain. And so it's 4 o'clock. Nicole, are you the closer?
I am, Lyle. As usual, I always feel even better after I've spent some time with you, even though it's in this virtual setting. I do look forward to seeing you in the grocery store or somewhere on a walk in the afternoon, because it always brightens my day to have you in it. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let's go out there and be contagious with our radiance and find awe and beauty in everything around us. Dr. Dan, thank you again for your time and bringing Lyle into the fold and getting all of this set up, and as usual for being our conversational moderator here. So thank you from the Ponderosa Center. We hope you enjoyed Ponderosa Center Presents today. This is just about wrapping up our 2021 season. We've got one more presentation coming up the first week of June, and then we will be outside at the terrace. And so exciting news. We have a summer concert series. There will be a free community event, free community concert every Tuesday from 6 to 8 out there next to Payette Lake, next to Hotel McCall. And so we hope you'll join us for that as well. But thank you again on behalf of the Ponderosa Center, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon.